What is up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something that was inspired off of a movie that I saw recently called Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1 of 3. And we're asking the question, is canon anime movies a thing right now? And I hope so. I hope the trend keeps going because, at the end of the day, it's going to put money in the pockets of these big studios and it's going to give us quality movie animation, with some substance to it. So, like I was saying, I saw Infinity Castle about, 2 weeks ago now? And people were still seeing it and it was breaking records and it even dethroned Leonardo DiCaprio's movie that came out not too long ago. Even though, Leonardo DiCaprio is not in his prime anymore, he's still a big name in the movie industry. And for Demon Slayer and a relatively unknown, foreign market coming over domestically, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, and just taking over for at least a week or two is pretty big. And so hopefully these studios, not just the Japanese studios, but the American film industry kind of sees this and invites it more and we get more of this quality movie type stuff for anime so we can get some good stuff in the future for shows that we have now. Because this month we have Chainsaw Man, the Reze arc coming out maybe in a couple weeks. It is October. And then after that we have the JJK movie, which is essentially a recap of the last season and then 2 episodes of the new season. Now I'm going to tell you what I want personally and then you tell me what you want because there's a lot of different ways these studios can go about it, right? As long as we get canon material, I think it's good, but as long as they do it the right way. And there is a wrong way to do it, and it's been done before. As long as we don't get filler for most of the movie. There are some exceptions, like Dragon Ball Z. There is some canon elements. I don't know how much of it is canon, but at this point it doesn't really matter because we don't go to Dragon Ball to see intricate story. We go to see fights, we go to see great animation, and we go to see character moments, characters interacting with each other. And one of my favorite movies of Dragon Ball ever is the new Broly movie. And the reason why it was so good is because we get to see a new version of Broly in updated animation fighting Goku and Vegeta and Frieza, and it just looked amazing. And then the only canon thing that I think came from it was that Broly was, he was going to be a part of the next, I guess if there was going to be another season of Super, he would have been a part of it and it would have been a whole new thing, which is cool. And that's a good exception. Another good exception in my eyes is Stampede, One Piece Stampede, where they just went balls to the wall, crazy, fan service, gave us everything the fans wanted at that point in time. It's one of my favorite movie going experiences because it came out during a time in which One Piece was still relatively not as popular, but it was getting to it. It was about to hit its stride, right? And so when I was in that theater, there was a lot of hardcore fans in there. There weren't a lot of us. There were probably maybe 25, 30, 35 people in there, but we enjoyed every moment of it and we cheered. Everyone, I love when the audience cheers. And so everyone was just having a good time. But the movie was purely fan service. And I feel like a lot of people who went to see that movie with me kind of didn't know that. So when people like Crocodile showed up, and I remember this, I remember when Crocodile showed up, I heard people go like, what? And then someone was like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, what do you mean, what are you doing here? It's a fan service movie. We barely had any canon material, but it was just nonstop crazy character moments, character feats, if you will. And then we got one canon thing, which was the name of an island, which we thought was a different name, and then it ended up being something else. Anyways, those are my two exceptions, but there are other ways to go about it that are way better. And some of it we have today, like Chainsaw Man, the Reze arc, an entire arc animated into a movie. I'm super excited for that. But I remember, and I feel like the only way this could work is that it was a relatively short arc. It was pretty short from what I remember. I remember reading Chainsaw Man maybe 2 or 3 years ago. A lot of it I don't remember. But I know it was relatively short. So I think it works without rushing, and there's a ton of action. From what I remember, there's a ton of action. So that's one way you can go. And I can't wait for that movie, by the way. Another way they're doing it is the JJK route or the Dan to Dan route, because Dan to Dan did the same thing this year, I believe, when it premiered. They showed the first 2 or 3 episodes in theaters. I love that because when I saw Dan to Dan, there's nothing to recap. So there was no recap in the beginning. The only thing they had in the beginning was like an interview with the VAs, which was whatever, right? But I feel like for them to just show straight up the first few episodes and then abruptly end, even though it was kind of an abrupt end, like that was good. Like that's what I'd pay to do that. I'd pay to watch the first 3 episodes of JJK season 3, which is coming out in January, but you can see it early in this movie that they're putting out, which is a recap of Shibuya, I believe, and then the first 2 episodes, maybe 3, which those 2 episodes, if you know, is going to be fire straight. It's probably going to be straight fighting. But honestly, I would go for the first 3 episodes with no recap. Because Infinity Castle, Demon Slayer, kind of gave like no recap. We kind of just went straight to it, which I love because it was a 2.5 hour movie, and I wish it was another hour and a half, honestly. But yeah, I really enjoyed that movie, and there was like no recap. So it's a weird way they're doing it, introducing a new season. I wish One Punch Man would do that, because One Punch Man comes out in like 3 days, and there still ain't no trailer. It's not looking good for One Punch Man, and I love One Punch Man, but yeah. So that's one way of doing it. Yeah, I really hope that Demon Slayer does really well, and I hear it is, even though people are hating on it because it's not their favorite anime, and it's getting all the love and attention. The fact that it's doing so much for anime to make it popular and make it known to these big businesses, because at the end of the day, these studios don't really care what the substance is as long as it makes money. And so for people to show up with their money and kind of like prove that it's profitable and it's worth the time and energy to bring these, studios over, these foreign markets, and bring it into the US, that's big. And I think Demon Slayer is really like the leading cause of that. So go watch that movie if you haven't, because it is fire. It is fire. Another route that I see could be happening, which is kind of happening now. So if you don't know, Gintama is reanimating an old arc from like the early seasons, and then make it into a movie, and that is sick. I hope they do that for other series, because that is the hope, is that Demon Slayer leads the way for other series to kind of do the same thing. And so if we get this Gintama arc, who knows what else we can get? Like imagine if they went back, and because I know One Piece kind of did it, where they reanimated old arcs into like 1 hour specials, like episode of Nami. They did 3D 2Y, like what happened in between the time skip, which is, I don't even know if that was real or not. A whole lot of it was not canon. I don't think so. But imagine if they went back and reanimated Marineford. And spoilers, if they go back and we know everything that we know now, like stuff that we know in hindsight about the story, we could kind of add things, like add interactions between other pirates, other characters, because there is, a couple characters that come to mind, especially when I've read the manga, or I know a little bit here and there, right? Because I'm not completely caught up. But like the interactions that we could get from what we know now, like that would add so much more instead of just having new animation, right? And so that would be another level of to do these like anime movies, right? So to give like the old fans something new, and then the new people like something to look forward to, even though it's not like completely accessible, I think it's worth it. And I think, as long as we support these movies, it'll be worth it. I just want more. I'm being greedy right now. I just want more. So yeah, that's just some thoughts that I've had. What do you think? What arc would you want to be made into a movie from your favorite anime or favorite manga or whatever? It doesn't even have to be something that's in serialization currently. But yeah, I think this is a really cool thing, and I can't wait for the next Demon Slayer. But that's the only thing I don't like. The fact that they're doing three Demon Slayer movies instead of like maybe two. Like honestly, I would have preferred this last movie to come out as like maybe a season and then the last two be movies because after this movie, I was so hyped that I went and read like a few chapters of the manga and I realized like the few chapters that I read, like 10 to 15 chapters, I feel like it's going to be 80% of the next movie because I just feel it. And it's like, damn, bro, there's not many chapters left. So I honestly don't think they should have made it three movies, maybe two. Maybe make one season like an hour and a half special. I don't fucking know. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a good thing. So go support those movies. Let me know what you think. And I will see y'all next time. Peace.